Hey y'all, what's up? Taurus here, TaurusBeats.com. Sometimes I'm sitting down and I just sit down and I have this idea that comes in my head as far as, a bass pattern or something like that, and I just want to lay it down. All I want to do is just get the bass pattern down. I'm not really trying to build anything as far as a song. I just want to get that bass pattern down and maybe come back to it later on, maybe a week or so, whatever. Well, I'll start out with the NNXT or usually, like in this case right here, the bass sound. I'm actually using the hyper bottom, which is in the Subtractor. So this is one of the times where I'm using the Subtractor. I'll show you here. Have the Subtractor right here, and I'm using. Of course, it has the hyper bottom right there. So I have the hyper bottom bass, which is basically just a sine bass. It's just like a sine wave making a bass tone or a low frequency sound. That's all it really is. Here's what it sounds like. Well, when I want to lay down a bass track, I'll play in progression. You just start laying down your bass line, start laying it down, and it'll sound good. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because sometimes I get questions, and sometimes I see guys who are starting out, girls starting out brand new as far as producing, or maybe they've been doing it for a while, but they'll send me a track and ask me to listen to it. And I always try to give constructive criticism. I never try to dog anybody out about anything. Because I do want them to get better. So what I usually, sometimes I hear is there's a huge disconnect between the bass line and the rest of the beat that they have, especially if there's any melodics in it. And what I mean by melodic, melodies, if they have any melodies in it, or they have any small chord changes or whatever, or even if they're using it with a sample, if they're doing sample flipping, sample chopping, or something like that, and they try to put a bass line on top of that sample flip, that sample chop, there's usually a disconnect between the bass that they're playing and the actual other melodic pieces of it, whether it's a sample or whether it's they're playing the piano or whatever they're doing on it with that bass. There's a disconnect. The bass doesn't match. And one of the things I think about is like, okay, do they not hear that difference? Do they not hear that it's not matching? And the reason why I just bring that up is because I'm saying that I can detect it when I'm listening to somebody else, but I don't know how they actually constructed it. In other words, I don't know what their thought pattern was as they were constructing it. It could very well be that they just didn't hear it, or they just don't hear the difference. And that can be. I run into that sometimes too. That's why I'm making this video. And what I'm talking about is I can lay down a bass and it'll sound, it'll sound pretty good as far as I'm concerned. But because I've been doing this for a while, there are small or subtle changes or subtle things that can be, real tiny things can be off, and it'll draw me to it. I won't know what exactly it is that causes the problem, but it's just like that ain't right. Something in there is not right. And so that's when I start to go fishing. I go fishing for what's wrong. Why is this thing getting on my nerves? Why is this really getting on my nerves? Because something just doesn't sound right. So here's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you right here this particular phrase that I have here. Nothing spectacular about it. So you're listening to the. So you listen to it. I'll let the last one go. So listening to the bass alone, it's so low as far as frequency. When I was putting it down, I was like, yeah, okay, that's exactly what I want. It sounds great. But then as I listen to it, I keep listening to it. I'm like, wait a minute, something is not quite moving right. It's not the movement, it's not the feel of it. It's just something is not changing correctly, and it's like that small thing is a small thing that drew me to it. So what I did, and this is what I do when I want to check my bass notes, I take the bass or whatever it is that I played, that pattern, I take it out of the bass and I drop it down into a piano. And this is my piano, my NNXT, as far as a piano. And anybody who's been watching, if you watched any of my videos, you've seen any of my videos, you'll notice that I have so many different pieces as far as my rack, but that piano, I can start making melodies from it, but I use it a lot of times as my check in terms of tone and key. And what I'm saying with that is I use that piano to basically set the, how the tuning is, like orchestras, they'll tune up before they start, and there's usually one instrument that plays a particular note, and that from that note, everybody else in the orchestra tunes off of that individual that individual instrument. And this is what I use the piano for. I'm using the piano to tune everything else to the piano. That's including my samples. I do not, this is something else I'm going to throw in here right quick. I do not tune for sample flipping. I don't try to tune my reasons in instruments, my reason instruments to the sample. I do the opposite. I tune the sample to my instruments. I'll put another video. I have some already out there that show what I'm doing as far as tuning, and I mean fine tuning the sample to where it matches the piano that's in Reason. So that's the same thing. It's kind of the same thing I'm talking right here. I'm just using now the piano to actually check what I've played in the bass in that hyper bottom, because that hyper bottom sounded okay for me, but now I'm going to play it in the piano. Whoa. All right, so is a few things right off the bat. Number one, it's not good. You know what I'm saying? It's not good at all because it does not play the way I thought it was playing. What I thought I was hearing is not correct. So that's number one. Number two, I was actually able to hear on the one when I'm talking about dropping on the one, or is on the one, on that first hit. I heard something that I wasn't hearing in the bass by the bass alone. Let's listen to it again. Right on the one, and this is going to be at the very start. Ready? Right there. It's a mess note. So that mess note causes me to go in here. Let me go check and look. Ah, there it is. There is the culprit. And you see right here, that's what I was hearing. That is a double note. That double note, that was probably a flub where my finger, hit another note at the same time. So all I'm doing is dropping that, and I'm going to play it again. Now, that whole progression right there, that's all wrong. That's not what I heard. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and look. First, I'm going to look inside the device. I said I don't tune anything, or I don't change anything as far as the piano, but sometimes I do transpose my piano. And transposition, when you transpose, or you may, my keyboard, I'm using the Yamaha DJX. I'll show you that right quick. So I've got the Yamaha DJX right here. So for my keyboard, I'm using the Yamaha DJX, and what I'll do is sometimes I'll transpose the keyboard, the physical keyboard. I'll transpose it so my fingering, I can play, the way I like to play, but it just affects the notes differently. So I'm just transposing the keys up, but it's playing the notes the same in the piano. Now that may have an effect, or I'm just going in here right now. All I'm doing right now is checking and looking and saying, okay, well, let's take a look at these things here. Control A, I want to look at all of my settings and see if I'm doing any particular. I'm looking specifically in the octave change. Of course, there's no octave change. And I'm looking at the semitones. The semitones, there are no semitones. That means there's no pitch changing on the piano. So what that tells me, there's no fine tuning on the piano. All of this right here is what I'm looking at in order to determine whether or not anything in my NNXT device as far as the piano has been changed. Nothing has been changed. So now I can go back and look at my bass line and say, okay, so the problem is not with the NNXT. There's nothing that changed there. The problem really is with what I played. So now I have to find out, okay, what did I do that was incorrect? Obviously, this progression right here, that first part was okay. But this, when I get to this, that's not what I wanted. So and then you get to the last part. So you can tell that all of that was incorrect. Now I have to go back and try to find out and figure out what was it that I really wanted to play, and I'm going to use the piano to try and do that. So with the piano, it's just basically going back and just playing, finding your notes. I'm doing here. And as you can tell, where I was actually going up as far as that piano. If you look at the piano up here, and you look at what I'm doing with the piano roll, you'll see where I started. Then I went up. Wrong already. That's wrong. I went here, then I jumped up to here. Then all of that's wrong because I moved from this key. And this is what I'm going to show you here. So it should have been more like this. That should have been my progression in terms of playing. Now, the great thing about Reason is I don't really have to worry about, trying to play it again. I can really just move these guys around now that I've already played them. My progression in terms of the actual physical playing is okay. I mean, I played it the way I wanted to. It's just that I didn't play the correct notes. So all I have to do now is just change the notes. So instead of that one going up, so I should go from that E, F, G, A. So I should go to A. Now, E, F, G, A. So I just move this one. A. Next. Nope. Move up one. One more. Now let's listen to it from there. Just that little phrase right in there. That's it. So you see how that's wrong. Da, 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 da. So all I'm going to do is go back, move, and do the same thing. Now that's wrong. Da, 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 da. And I'm showing you this real time because this is one of the things I wanted to actually do in this video is show you specifically what I am doing or how I make the corrections myself. Now, there are plenty of ways. I want to put this in here. There are plenty of ways to actually make these changes. I could have just gone back and just played it again. It probably would have been quicker because now that I know how to play the keys, I just would have played that same pattern and just played it again, recorded it, and boom, been done. But I'm just showing you that you don't have to go through, if you don't want to do that again, just go through and make the changes, in the editing mode. Da 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 da. There we go. Now that I have that one piece, now it repeats. So all I'm going to do is just take that first part that I just did, since I've edited that first section, and that's the good thing about actually making it longer. You see I have right here, I have, it's just a repeating pattern. After I played it that one time, I'm going to cut it right here. Now it repeats. So all I'm going to do is take that, go ahead and delete it, delete the second half, and then just copy it, paste it. And now I'm ready to go. There you have it. So that's pretty much it as far as me getting the bass line. I got it in piano. Now I'm going to move it back to the bass. Let's see what it sounds like in the bass. Much better. Much better. Much better. Excellent. So there you have it. That's what I wanted to show you in this particular video, is how I can check what it is I'm playing in terms of bass by using the piano and an NNXT. And now that I have it, I'm ready to go ahead and put some beat to it, and just go ahead and put some more stuff to it and see how it sounds. So thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for checking this all out. I really appreciate you coming by. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for the likes, subscribing. I really appreciate it. The questions that you throw me, thank you for that as well. But y'all know how we do. Grace and peace until next time. Y'all take care of yourselves. Make sure you come back by. Check out TaurusBeats.com, the website. Check out TaurusJames.com, my blog. And y'all just keep hanging around, man. Let's make this music better. Y'all take care. And just since you continue listening, check out what I got so far.